Hi everybody, welcome back to Tony's Tack Tips, a channel for the what, how, and why of horsemanship. Today we'll be talking about how to hose off our horse. We hose horses off for a few different reasons. The first is to help them get clean. If they're very sweaty after a ride, very dusty after coming out of the turnout, or just need a bath, hosing them off will get them nice and shiny clean. The other important reason is to help our horses cool off. On hot days, or after working hard, our horse's body temperature is elevated, just like when you get sweaty after working out. Hosing off, when done correctly, can help them cool down and get back to a more comfortable temperature. For safety reasons, if you're cross tying, make sure that your wash rack has 3 secure sides. In a cross tie without a back, if a horse starts to back up, there's nothing to catch them, and they can flip, hurt their necks, and break their halters and get loose. If your cross tie is 2-sided, please hold your horse or have someone else hold them instead of using the cross ties. Next are tools. The hose and horse are pretty self-explanatory, but you will also need a sweat scraper. These are for getting the water off of your horse so they can cool off and begin to dry. Sweat scrapers can look like this, metal or plastic, like this, round plastic and rubber, or like this, wood and silicone. Each are used in pretty much the exact same way. Applying a fair amount of pressure, you make long strokes in the direction of the horse's coat and try to pull out as much water as you can. Plastic, metal, and rubber scrapers are only used on the neck and body, never on the legs because they're too rigid and will be uncomfortable on the bony parts of the leg. However, the Groom Ninja silicone scraper actually conforms to the shape of the legs, so it is gentle enough to use everywhere. See more about how much I love this sweat scraper in my product review, link in the description. Now we're going to break the horse into 4 sections: the neck and shoulders, the barrel, the belly, and the hindquarters. As I hose, I'm going to spray one section, scrape the water off, spray that section, and the next section, scrape both, hose the second and third section, scrape both, and so on. When hosing off a horse, the goal is to help them cool down. However, when you put water on a horse's coat, the coat traps it against the skin, and the horse's body heat warms it up. If you leave the water on the coat, it will actually end up making the horse even hotter than they were before. Therefore, it's important that as soon as the water is put on the coat with the hose, you scrape it right off. The faster you scrape, the more water will come out of the coat, and the more your horse will cool off. I go over every section of my horse at least twice with the hose, as I demonstrated earlier, and scrape off the water as fast as I can to make sure my horse gets both clean and cool. Plus, the more water you get off your horse, the faster they'll dry. Now you can start hosing. Turn on the hose to a medium pressure. Be sure that when you're not using the hose, you kink it to avoid getting things wet and wasting water. Always hose at an angle to the horse. If you spray directly from the side, the water will rebound all over you. Stay at an angle from the shoulder to keep yourself and the horse's head out of the splash zone. First, we'll spray the legs. At a normal water pressure, start from the hooves and work your way up to let your horse get used to the water and the temperature. Don't worry about scraping the legs right away. As you hose, they'll constantly have water running over them, so they won't trap heat like the rest of the body. Once the legs are wet, you can begin with your sections. Start from the shoulder and work your way up the neck. Keep the hose pointing towards the tail, especially as you get closer to the head, to keep uncomfortable spray out of the horse's face. I like to turn the hose around in my hand to make this easier. You can also put a finger partially over the end of the hose to help increase the pressure on less sensitive areas. Once the shoulder and neck are wet, kink the hose and scrape off as much water as you can. Then spray the neck again, adding on the second section, the barrel. Make sure to focus on any extra sweaty or dirty spots. Once those are wet, scrape and continue. Spray sections 2 and 3, the barrel and the belly. On the belly, which is more sensitive than the rest of the body, use medium water pressure instead of high. Make sure you get in between the front and the back legs, as those areas get very sweaty and uncomfortable. When you're done, scrape, scrape, scrape. Almost done! Spray the belly again and add on the hindquarters, then scrape. Finally, spray the hindquarters again, making sure you get the tail and that you lift it up and spray underneath the dog. Horses in heavy work can get very sweaty between the legs, so always make sure to check and get that area very clean. Then scrape the hindquarters off one more time. Now you're going to scrape off the entire body again, without hosing, to make sure you get any and all excess water out of the coat. If you have a silicone scraper, you can use it to scrape the legs. If not, you can use your hand. Run it down the back and front of the leg, squeezing gently to help pull the water off. Now that your horse is scraped and starting to dry, you can do the face. Take a clean rag and get it nice and wet. Wring it out slightly. Give the horse a chance to sniff it, then rub any sweat marks or dirty spots on the face. Make sure you get around the ears, especially under the halter, as most horses will get a sweat mark there from the bridle. Finally, you should towel dry the legs. Using a dry towel, rub up and down on the lower legs. Make sure to get the back of the pastern and the fetlock. Then, you can grab each side of the towel and rub back and forth like you're shining a shoe. Repeat this on each leg. This will help the legs dry much faster and help prevent fungus or bacterial infections like scratches. Make sure to wait until the legs are completely dry before putting your horse away.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you liked what you saw, be sure to like this video and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my new content. Follow me on Instagram at Toni's Tack Tips, and if you have any questions or ideas about things you'd like to learn or content you'd like to see, comment below and I'll try to make it happen. Thanks so much for watching, and remember to always ask why. Bye for now. You're really gross, you know that?